The Supreme Court has ruled
just
three
magically
times.
on his
The
own?
Supreme Court
How
has
did he
ruled
have his
three times in
returns?
precedent since 1911 that you cannot be the judge of yourself on anything. And so Donald Trump is sued himself to get a fund, now settled with himself, to get a fund where he's going to write a check for himself.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So glad you clicked in today. Buckle up, because this panel goes completely off the rails. One lone defender, Scott, sits at a table full of people absolutely stunned that a sitting president can sue his own government, settle with himself, and write his own billion-dollar check. And Scott actually tries to defend it. What follows is a fact check, a constitutional gut punch, and one yes or no question that leaves a defender of this deal totally speechless. By the end, somebody at that table gets cornered so hard the only response is silence. Do yourself a favor and stick around all the way through, because the final exchange is the kind of moment you'll want to send to everyone you know. And while you're here, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. I genuinely love seeing how far this channel reaches. All right, enough from me. Let's get straight into it.
The DOJ's $1.8 billion slush fund deal with Donald Trump bans the IRS from pursuing claims it may have made against him forever.
I was trying to think of a technical term for this. It's like criminal financial masturbation, right? So what you're looking at is this right here, okay? Right? This is the issue that I have. This is the biggest self-dealing in presidential history. You're talking about protecting his family and himself from any type of IRS investigation. Not only did he sue his own IRS for $10 billion, then he settled with himself for, by the way, it's $1.776 billion, 1776, which is simply a dog whistle to QAnon. That's all that is for his base. That's exactly what it is. And by the way, I'm an expert on it, so if people want to argue with me, I am ready to rock. The other issue that you have with this when you're talking about this type of self-dealing is that to say in perpetuity that you can't go after somebody for criminal, does that mean they're criming? And this is a guy who's already, he's been adjudicated on 34 felonies. This guy has been adjudicated for sexual abuse. We were talking about all the states. It seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse. And it's like he's burning the crops after he's stealing the corn because he's a lame duck president. Everything he's doing right now is about self-dealing, right? You're looking at the Trump boys. They're sitting there getting contracts on drone warfare. You see all that happening right now. You see, Kushner in the Middle East. All this is self-dealing. You see the stock trades. All this is him trying to enrich himself and his family as fast as he can. It's the most disgusting thing that I've seen, especially with somebody who's took the oath as a military member and as a congressman. And right now, when we're looking at this as sort of overarching, I can't imagine, right? I can't imagine anybody, and I'm not trying to stage this argument, I can't imagine anybody saying that this is right. It's so egregiously awful and corrupt. I don't know why right now there's not people, Republicans and Democrats, saying there's no way this type of self-dealing can happen.
Scott's about to tell you that it's right. Go ahead, Scott.
Is it wrong or is it right?
Well, first of all, why did he sue the IRS?
Because it was a leak.
Because they leaked his tax returns illegally. And
No, the IRS didn't leak.
The IRS
Let's be clear. The IRS didn't leak. An independent contractor did. So therefore, it doesn't apply.
It's a nice hair splitting, but
it's frivolous. It's a frivolous law to begin with. That matters.
While Trump was president. This happened during Trump's administration.
Facts matter.
He himself was the victim of the federal government being weaponized against him for political purposes. That's number one. Number two, I believe this deal on the looking back, it doesn't apply forward looking. It has to do with this period of time.
Now.
Number three, on the fund, we talked about this a little bit last night. I think that, the idea that someone who attacked a police officer, they should not get money. That's not right. However, if someone does have a legitimate claim that they were over-prosecuted or targeted unfairly or was on the periphery of some issue and had no reason to be targeted, and they have a legitimate claim against the government, I have no problem with that. I think the government makes mistakes all the time, and people should be able to
well, if we were talking about legitimate claims,
go back against their government over there.
It would be transparent. It wouldn't be hidden, right, and secretive. That's the same thing that they do all the time. They hide behind this executive privilege on non-appropriated funds. When you have something secret, it's not about transparency. Everything we've talked about is transparency.
This is the part that should make every taxpayer sit straight up. The analyst at the table called it the biggest self-dealing in presidential history. And you know what? He is not exaggerating for clicks. Think about the actual mechanics here. One man uses the machinery of the federal government, the IRS, the Justice Department, the full weight of taxpayer money, and he points all of it back at himself. That is the part people keep missing while they argue over the small stuff. And here is what blows my mind. Scott tries to make the whole thing sound legitimate by claiming the IRS leaked the tax returns, but the panelists shut that down instantly. He said this: the IRS didn't leak, an independent contractor did, so therefore it doesn't apply. That distinction is everything, because the entire justification for this payout rests on a story that collapses the second you check who actually did what. You have to understand why that matters. When you build $1 billion settlement on top of a claim that does not survive 5 seconds of scrutiny, you are not seeking justice. You are manufacturing a reason to move money. And the analyst captured the whole spirit of it when he said the guy is burning the crops after he's stealing the corn because he's a lame duck. President, that image stays with me because it describes somebody grabbing everything he can on the way out the door. Then there is the transparency problem, which is the quiet scandal sitting underneath the loud one. The panelist said it plainly. When you have something secret, it's not about transparency. And that is the tell. If this were clean, if this were actually defensible, why does any part of it need to be hidden from the very people footing the bill?
And my question, Scott, is do you actually believe he should sue the IRS for $10 billion on an independent contractor leak?
Do I think that people should
American
have their tax
taxpayer
returns leaked by the federal government for political reasons, weaponized against them? I think he had every right to seek a grievance against the federal government for what they did to him on that. And it wasn't just him, it was other people too.
Well, Ken Griffin also, and Ken Griffin just asked for an apology because he knows it's egregiously ridiculous.
Well, and Trump got an apology, and he's not getting any money out of it.
Okay, it was 2 years. It was 2 years.
But it's $1.776 billion.
And 2 years after the statute of limitations on this, it was not the federal government who did this. It was an individual contractor. The Supreme Court has ruled
just
3 times.
on his own.
The Supreme Court has ruled 3 times in precedent since 1911 that you cannot be the judge of yourself on anything. And so Donald Trump is sued himself to get a fund now settled with himself, to get a fund where he's going to write a check for himself. We all know that this is bullshit.
You agree with the leak?
This is a MAGA victimization fund that is sanctioned by Donald Trump. How dare he? How dare he? You look in the face and you justify this to the families of the police officers who were beaten, who were almost killed, to the people who were killed, to the people whose careers are ruined. I don't know about you, Scott, but I've spent time with those officers and their families, and their lives have been ruined. And unlike you, tonight you're saying this, but Todd Blanche could not say that today during his Senate hearing. Neither could J.D. Vance say and guarantee to the American people that any of those violent bastards who did that to those people, who tried to overthrow our election on January 6th, would not get a dime from this. American tax dollars should not go to this. This is dishonorable, it's grotesque, and anyone who tries to hide behind some kind of patriotism behind this should be ashamed of themselves. Look in the eyes of the families of the people who suffered on January 6th. You know who the victim is here? Them and our democracy. And shame on anyone who tries to justify this. And it's our dollars that they're robbing to do this. It's grotesque and despicable.
And it's also unconstitutional.
Absolutely, and I'm glad to see Jamie Raskin and the Democrats are going to challenge it.
It is Congress who gets the power of the purse. They cannot adjudicate this amount of money like that.
Here is where the double standard becomes impossible to ignore. The panelists pointed out that Ken Griffin just asked for an apology because he knows it's egregiously negligent. Sit with that for a second. Another wealthy man hit by the same kind of problem asked for words, an acknowledgement, and walked away. No billion-dollar check. So why does one person get treated like the rules bend around him? That contrast tells you this payout was never about fairness. And then the analyst dropped the line that should be taught in every civics class. He said the Supreme Court has ruled 3 times in precedent since 1911 that you cannot be the judge of yourself on anything. This is the part people don't realize has deep roots. The principle is centuries old. Back in 1610, an English judge named Sir Edward Coke argued in a famous case that no man should be a judge in his own cause, and that idea became a foundation of common law on both sides of the Atlantic. So when somebody sues, settles, and signs the check all by himself, he is not bending some modern technicality. He is shredding a rule we have respected for more than 400 years. That is why the panelist's reaction landed so hard. She called it grotesque and despicable, and then said it is also unconstitutional. And she is right to put those 2 words side by side, because the offense is both moral and structural. The structural part is the one I want you to remember. She said it is Congress who gets the power of the purse, and they cannot adjudicate this amount of money like that. That is not a partisan talking point. That is the design of the system. The people you elect control the spending. The moment one office decides it can move billions on its own, the guardrail is simply gone.
It's also,
I think there's a question on that. I'm not
I think it is no coincidence that they posted this addendum, that the DOJ posted this addendum after Todd Blanche had his hearing today in front of Congress, because he didn't want to answer questions on this, because it stinks to holy hell. And this is coming at a time when Americans can't afford gas, can't afford groceries, are canceling summer vacations. Farmers are going bankrupt. but we are settling with Donald Trump to the tunes of billions that we're saying you are
You're not
above the law.
settling. He's not getting any of the money. just
I'm
to be
glad
clear.
that everyone's suddenly
all
alarmed
of
about
us, all of us
slush
around this
funds.
table, all of us around this table could be audited by the IRS. All of us.
Sure.
But Donald
Okay,
Trump can't.
But Donald Trump can't.
Right.
Yeah,
That
protecting
stinks
yourself
to
in
holy hell.
perpetuity is absolutely
And his family.
ludicrous.
Well, it's not
And his
moving.
family.
It's not this
It's
point forward.
ludicrous.
Yet.
Yeah, right, but it
It's
includes
ludicrous.
his family
Hold
and,
my- hold
and
my
all
beer.
of his and all of the
On my
derivatives
opinion.
of his business. Lydia, go ahead.
No, I'm glad that everyone's up in arms about slush funds. I mean, Biden had $350 in a COVID fund that he appointed to DEI.
$350?
$350 billion. There were about $20 billion
My
that went
shoes
to
cost more than
climate
$350.
NGOs. I mean, I'm not a fan of slush
Are you
funds as a
really-
vehicle.
are
So
you-
I'm
are you
glad that
comparing
you're.
this-
This is
I'm
like
glad that you're
comparing
outraged
cats and
about $1
astronauts.
billion. I was also outraged about.
Okay,
This is
Biden's not
ludicrous.
president.
$400 billion.
Biden's not
What are you
president
talking
anymore.
about?
Justify
Slush
this.
funds.
Let's stay on topic. Justify this. You're okay with this? You think this is an honorable use of taxpayer dollars?
So look, I think
Yes or
I
no?
think the
Yes or
law.
no? Yes or no?
I don't answer to you.
Oh, no,
I
you
think
can
the
answer to the
law-
American people. Go ahead. I'm asking you a simple
That's a no.
question. And the millions of people watching right now, answer to them.
What is
You
it?
think this is honorable?
I do not.
Crickets.
Can
Thank you
I
very
speak
much.
to-
And the timing? The timing gives the whole game away. The panelist caught it immediately. She said they posted this addendum after Todd Blanche had his hearing today, and it just stinks to holy hell. You do not drop a document the moment the questioning ends unless you are running from the questions. That is not caution. That is avoidance with a calendar attached to it. But here's the part that should make ordinary people the angriest, and it has nothing to do with party. She laid it out. She said Americans can't afford gas, can't afford groceries, are canceling summer vacations, farmers are going bankrupt. That is the contrast that should end every debate. Families are cutting back on the basics, and meanwhile billions are being routed toward one man and the people around him. You cannot tell a struggling household that the cupboard is bare and then quietly conjure a fortune for a personal grievance. People feel that kind of hypocrisy in their gut, and they should. And then came the moment that honestly made me stand up. The host turned to Lydia and asked her the simplest question in the world. She said, "Justify this. You think this is an honorable use of taxpayer dollars, yes or no?" And Lydia could not do it. She dodged. She said she does not answer to the host. So the host said the thing I will be replaying all week. She told Lydia to answer the millions of people watching instead. And what did we get? The host summed it up with one word. She said, "Crickets, thank you very much." That is the whole story in a single moment. When a defender of something cannot say out loud on camera that it is honorable, the silence answers for them. You do not go quiet defending something you truly believe is right. You go quiet when you know deep down there's no honest way to defend it. And looking back at it now, that silence is still the loudest thing in the entire conversation. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.